was never created with agriculture. Mankind discovered agriculture. Mankind was never created with agriculture. We were never created with education. Mankind invented education. Mankind was never created with agriculture. No. Building houses, rearing animals, we were not created with that thing. Mankind invented agriculture. And agriculture has actually turned our lives around. So agriculture, just like education, actually turned our lives. Beans, is it a protein or carb? Agriculture was man's invention. And it's agriculture that made us to be 7 point something billion now in the world. Agriculture has helped mankind. Agriculture made it possible for our population to increase. That is why agriculture made it possible for our population to increase. I hope you know that they don't grow apple in Africa. Apple now, that stuff is not grown in Africa. But then you have it all year round in Africa. Fire. Mankind was a hunter-gatherer. That was the beginning. Homo sapiens was a hunter-gatherer. That is, they moved from one location to the other. They moved from one location to the other. All over the world. Mankind was a hunter-gatherer. That is, they moved from one location to the other. Once they've exhausted the food here, they leave. There is nothing called agriculture. So they leave, they travel again. Until they get to another area where they see that thing. Once they've exhausted it, they leave again. So that means they have no roof, no habitation. And they always travel light. They cannot have 10 children. They space their children. Because they're constantly on the move. And where did they get? Most times, they establish where they stop beside water. Marine animal was easy for them to get. Fish is something you get all year round. Unlike lion, tiger, and the rest of you have to chase those ones. That is why human civilizations in the world usually start from beside water. That was why people really stop by sharing close to water. So human civilization all over the world, Egyptian, anyone wants to mention about under the one then, all civilizations in the world usually start beside water. It is only in water that you get all-round protein. Shellfish, snail, fish, eel, shrimps, prawn. They are always in water. For other protein source gatherers, that is, it is where they change the rat from here to the Republic, and that's where you sleep. So if the following morning they see another mouse now running, they can change that into Togo. That's where they stop. So there was no idea of building a house, having your room, and all those things. No. And they travel light because of food. It's when you have food in abundance that you can think of having 15 children. So they space that thing exactly. You can see the importance of agriculture. I mean, by then now, human population was so minuscule, very tiny, because of the stress of moving from one region to another. So how did agriculture? The world was covered in ice. They call it the glacial period. 10,000 years ago, the whole of the world was covered in ice. Everything was covered in ice. Then suddenly, now listen, this is where it gets interesting. Suddenly, the ice started melting. When the ice started melting, it increases the level of water. Areas that used to have land were submerged. Beringia, remember, that was the bridge that connects Asia with America, became submerged underwater. There used to be ice all over the world. Then the ice melted. The rivers were created, lakes, delta, things were created. Then the water level increased all over the world. The new land appeared. That was the beginning of agriculture. I said there used to be ice all over. Then ice melted. When it melted, land appeared. Water level increased. Then lakes and the rest of them were created. Then greens started growing, started coming up in that area where you used to have ice. The man became a hunter-gatherer, moving from one region to the other. Now, because of the abundance of beginning ice all over the world, then ice melted. When ice melted now, people were able to chase animals from one region to the other. But then the populations were limited. Let me say, the population were limited until they now introduced agriculture. Agriculture changed our existence. That's the origin of building houses and building communities and the rest of them. So agriculture changed our existence. Beginning, just remember, hunter-gatherer. Wherever you see the animal, you kill them, you eat them. Wherever you see the apple tree, the mango tree, those things are seasonal. Once you've exhausted them, then you move again. Until mankind now invented agriculture. Why throw away this? Why not plant that seed? Why travel all the way to Borno now to go and look for dates? Why need dates? Why not plant that dates in your own location, in your own locality? I said, agriculture made us to be sedentary. Agriculture made us said, yes, to stay in the place. That's the origin of the increase in human population. Agriculture made us to be sedentary. Ice melted, we were hunter-gatherers. Then again, there was a switch. Why do I have to travel to the east to eat corn? Can't I plant the corn? When I plant the corn, remember, I'll have to wait for the corn. That's 3 months for that thing to grow. Why not plant cassava? I'll have to wait for maybe about 6 months. And before you know it, they started building communities around such a settlement. That was why I said agriculture defined our way of life. Without agriculture, there would have been no countries. There would have been no community. There would have been no kingdom. That is why in the East, they celebrate every year what they call the Yam Festival, New Yam Festival. All other tribes, they have their own celebration. Possible for them to be celebrated. When you plant now, you can't leave that area. When you leave that area, all the animals will come around, they will destroy that thing. Then you have to tend to what you've planted. And in the process now, you have to, before they give birth once every 3 years. Because they're always on the move. So then maybe they have 1 or 2 children. But when you are now sedentary, you've planted enough food in abundance, then you can give birth to more children. Because the more hands you have, now this is the bottom, the more hands you have, the more family you have, the more people you have to work on your farm. And when they work on your farm, that means you have more food to eat. Agriculture started spontaneously all across the continent. It did not just start in Africa, or did not just start across the world. It started spontaneously all across the world. But this is the key. Each and every one of them domesticated different agricultural crops. Each region domesticated different agricultural crops. Agriculture started spontaneously. But put it this way, who invented dance? Dance. Exactly, to dance. Who invented it? Exactly that. Who invented singing? Singing. Emerged spontaneously. From people, things are invented by humans. Spontaneously. Agriculture emerged spontaneously all over the world. But the sheep, cattle, goats, they were never native to Africa. Sheep, cattle, that was not taken for granted. Cows, cattle, goats, they were never native to Africa. They were domesticated in Asia first. It was from Asia that they were introduced to Africa. They now became a national. Sheep, cattle, goats, for example, were never domesticated here. They used to exist in the wild. You know how they domesticate them? Tying them at home, keeping them at home, trying to remove their wildness, then breeding them. Breeding. So when you breed dogs, breeding them in Asia, then from Asia, spread. Agriculture turned us to settle their communities. And it was when we had agriculture that our population increased. And I've explained why. Hunter-gatherers at the beginning, they have to move from one region to the other. But then somebody now thought of that thing. Rather than travel all the way from here, for example, to the east, to go and look for palm kernel or palm nuts, to make bagasse, why not plant that thing here? Sorry. When they plant it here, they have to tend it. Chase the rats, chase the goats from eating the leaves of that thing. Then remove the weeds. And that will grow. And when you are there now, remember, you give birth to more children, then other people will settle with you. Then you start that. And before you know, they started building kingdoms, empires, communities, states, and the rest of them. Agriculture made it possible for them to have food in abundance. So agriculture made it possible for them to have in abundance. People will always gather, settle in an area where there is food in abundance. When they were hunter-gatherers, they could not form kingdoms. They could not form empires because there is no food. They have to move constantly to look for what they will eat. But with agriculture, with the invention of agriculture, all over the world, you're not saying hearing of nationalities, tribes, ethnic groups, that's the truth of the matter. We all started based on agriculture, tribes, nationality, then later kingdoms, then you have an empire, you have states, then you have country. It's the same thing from agriculture. All African tribes, all Nigerians, then they started animal husbandry. Well, what you call rearing animals. But then, importantly, like I've been emphasizing, started spontaneously all over the world. It did not just start in Africa. or in Asia. That was why I used the example of a dance or music. Agriculture started spontaneously, and they domesticated different crops and different